What is the true cost of erectile dysfunction for a man? So, what I mean by that is erectile dysfunction is a problem, but it's not the true problem. The true problem is what's happening as a consequence of erectile dysfunction. Let me explain. So, 50% of men by the time they're 50 have had some form of erectile dysfunction. 60% of men by the time they're 60, 70% of men by the time they're 70. It's super important to understand how it's affecting your life, because if you don't know, truly and deeply how it's affecting your life, then you don't actually know if it's a worthwhile thing to try and resolve, a worthwhile thing to spend your money on and to invest your time into trying to sort out. So my name's Luke. I'm the lead practitioner at Men's Room Shockwave, which is held at Body Zest. We're in Surrey in the UK. We treat men in their 30s right through to their 80s for erectile dysfunction. And at the clinic, we have a 90% success rate for our treatment for men with mild or moderate ED, which is very, very good. So I speak to men every day, whether it's like phone calls discussing with prospective patients about getting the treatment, or whether it's actually the people that have come in and are talking to me about it. I speak to men every day about how ED is affecting their life. And from what I can see, there are kind of three main drivers for people to finally say, right, I'm going to go and sort this out. The first one, and it might seem obvious, but once I explain it, I hope it will kind of shed some light on why I'm talking about this. But the first one is like a desire for intimacy. So whether that is with their current partner, or maybe they're single, maybe they're widowed, whatever, and they're thinking about future partners, a desire to have intimacy, to have sexual intercourse, is a real driver for people to try and get this sorted out. But a slightly different one, and one that I hear a lot from the guys, is what I kind of refer to now as a masculinity crisis. So a feeling that their erectile dysfunction has taken away a fundamental component of what makes them a man, and that starts to create an identity issue with them, that they don't feel like they're the person that they should be able to be because they can't do the things that they want to be able to do. So even though it does end up being intimacy that's obviously affected, that isn't the root driver for them. It is an identity problem around masculinity that's giving them that drive to say, I have to fix this. And the other one is the communication issue. So again, intimacy can't be obtained, in that kind of typical way that we expect it to without the male erection. But what the real driver for getting this sorted out is because actually it's creating such a communication problem with their partner. Maybe their partner feels like it's them, feels like it's their attractiveness, feels like it's the man being uninterested, and they're just dying to resolve all of the bad stuff that comes downstream from that kind of communication issue by fixing this problem. So if any of those really resonate with you, then obviously it's probably that one that's the real kind of key to this. It's always worth really knowing and really understanding why that is, because then okay, that's what's my driver. Is this a worthwhile thing to get fixed? Now, we offer solutions here for those kind of problems, but you could be well away from ever thinking about getting this fixed. So in the meantime, here's a few kind of reframes for those three things that might just start to make this a more manageable process for you in the meantime. So outside of any treatment, and this is not an offer from me, this is just a few things from my experience which might help you manage those kind of feelings that you've been getting, whichever one of those boxes you feel like you fit into. So if we think about the communication one that I mentioned last, then if that feels like it's resonating with you, then it's worth saying that actually the communication isn't being caused by the ED. The ED might feel like it's going to be the thing which fixes the communication problem, but a communication problem is being caused by bad communication on its own. You can't really blame it on the thing that you're not talking about. If there's a communication problem between you and your partner, then it's really worth addressing, because you want to be trying to fix this as a couple, not trying to fix it in isolation. And like I mentioned before, you might have in your head that they're thinking one thing, like, oh my God, he's, I can't believe he can't do this. I can't believe he's not manly enough. I can't believe that he's not well enough, or something like that. That's might be what you're thinking, they're thinking. But in reality, they might be thinking about themselves. Oh my God, I can't believe he doesn't find me attractive. I can't believe he doesn't want to have sex. Maybe he's having an affair. There's all these things that could be going on. So take away the ED, that is just a physiological component of your body. Your partner should be there to try and support you in that process, and have the conversation, talk about what's been going on. You'll both feel better for it and get some clarity on that. And then you can try and resolve the problem together. And I promise you, it will be a much better thing to try and deal with as a couple than on your own. The masculinity one is tricky, but again, a little reframe to try and make you feel better about it. Not necessarily with your, you might have a partner or might not, but whether you can talk to your partner or talk to a friend about your problem, I think normalizing the issue is a really good way to start to help with the masculinity issue, because I put those stats up at the beginning. 50% of men by the time they're 50, 60% by the time they're 60, 70 by the time they're 70, so on. After the age of 50, it is literally unusual to not have erectile dysfunction as a man, or at least to not have experienced it at least once. So when we think like that, if you can talk to people and start to understand just how normal this is, and actually how much of not a big deal this is to a lot of people, then it might make you realize that actually it is just one of those things. Like, you are normal, you are a man. It's not, there's nothing broken or anything like that. It's just, part of the aging process, and things happen within our body that can cause other problems. So I think that talking to friends, talking to your partner, and just trying to really get your head around how normal it is one way to kind of help with that. Intimacy, that's the really difficult one. Obviously, there are ways to be intimate with your partner without having penetrative sex and without having, a really good erection hardness. However, it's difficult and it's not for everybody. And if this is the fundamental one for you, and you're like, we're communicating well and I feel fine in myself, I just fundamentally want to be intimate and this is stopping me, then I would say that definitely next step for you is try and get this sorted out and start looking at your options for how to fix it. If you want more helpful stuff around resolving ED yourself, then follow us.